Now, this morning, oh, good morning. This morning I thought it might be nice if we told a little story.
I don't want to hear it. I do.
Now, wait a minute.
Who, me?
Not you.
I'm Dickie Duck.
I know you're Dickie Duck.
I'm Danny Dog.
I know you're Danny Dog. Let's hear the story.
We don't want to hear it.
Please listen.
Dickie Duck.
Now, Dickie, please be quiet.
Who, me?
You're the dog.
I'm the guy.
You're the guy.
I'm the duck.
I know you're the duck. Let's listen to the story. This is a favorite among the old Greeks.
Why don't you find an old Greek and tell it to him?
Now, look, please. Let me tell the story.
Who's it about?
It's about a duck.
A duck.
Yes.
I'm the duck.
You're Dickie Duck.
Who's the duck?
You're the duck.
Oh, I'm not a duck.
I know you're not a duck.
I'm Dickie Duck.
I know you're Dickie Duck.
I'm Danny Dog.
All right, Danny.
Tell the story.
Okay. Once upon a time, there was a duck. There was not a duck.
He's a duck. I'm a duck.
I know you're a duck.
You're a duck.
I'm not a duck.
I'm Dickie Duck.
You're Dickie Duck. This is a story of George.
George who?
George Washington. And he,
Who?
George.
George who?
George Washington. One day.
What day?
I don't know the day.
Was it Wednesday?
I don't know if it was Wednesday.
Was it a duck day?
I don't know if it was a duck day.
Dickie Duck Day.
It was not Dickie Duck Day. One day he,
Who?
George.
George who?
George Washington.
Who's he?
He's the one I'm telling the story about.
Oh.
Now, do you know who I'm telling the story about?
Dickie Duck.
No, you're Dickie Duck.
I'm Danny Dog.
I know you're Danny Dog.
Well, who are you?
I'm George Washington. No, wait. One day he,
Who?
George
who?
George Washington decided he was going to cut down the tree.
What tree?
The cherry tree.
I don't like cherries.
It doesn't matter whether you like cherries or not. And he,
Who?
George
who?
George Washington said,
Who said?
George said,
George who?
George Washington, he said, I will take my hatchet.
Your hatchet.
Not my hatchet.
Whose hatchet? Dickie Duck's hatchet.
Not Dickie Duck's hatchet. He said, I will take my hatchet and I will go out in the backyard. And he did.
Who did?
George did.
Dickie Duck?
Not Dickie Duck.
Who did?
George did.
George who?
George Washington. And he went.
Who went?
George went.
George who?
George Washington, and he cut down the tree. And then one day his father came home.
Whose father? Dickie Duck's father.
Not Dickie Duck's father, his father.
George's?
George's, that's right.
George who?
George Duck. George Washington. And he,
Who?
Dickie Duck. No, George Washington's father went out and he said to George
who?
George Washington,
Dickie Duck.
No, he didn't say Dickie Duck. He said, George
who?
George Washington. He said, George, who cut down that cherry tree?
Don't look at me. I didn't do it.
Well, I know you didn't do it. Who do you think did it?
Dickie Duck.
Not Dickie Duck.
I didn't do it either.
Now, look, please, just listen to me.
Go ahead.
All right. He said,
Who said?
George's father.
George who?
George Washington's father said, who cut down that cherry tree? And George said,
George who?
George Washington said, Father, I cannot tell a lie.
You can't tell the truth either.
He said,
Who said?
George said,
George who?
George Washington said, I cut down the cherry tree.
I thought Dickie Duck did.
No, George Washington did.
George who?
You have just come to the Jobblewocky Place.
Dickie Duck Place?
No, the Jobblewocky Place.
Oh, no, you don't understand.
Now, just listen. Just relax, and I'll tell you the complete story a little bit later.